It's April 22nd, 2026, and you know why you're here, so let's kick this off right and introduce the players. Hey, I'm Jarazar, a PvP Padawan.
Oh, that was my cue. Sorry. Hey guys, it's Big Moran, and I am accepting large bribes from any mage player to put them lower on the tier list. So please reach out to me.
And hey, I'm Tresap Jake, a whiny loser from Europe, according to Big Moran. So today we've actually we've got a sort of a guest, as it were. This is a very special guest, in my personal opinion. I'd like to introduce Auchenax, otherwise known as Orcs. This is who's been playing a lot of Devourer Demon Hunter recently, which I think is something that's very new and obviously everyone's quite interested in. But I feel like, I mean, I play Arena with you. You are my Arena partner, Orcs. But I feel like you'd probably be the best person to kind of tell everyone what your achievements are, what you do, what you have done. Yeah, take it away.
Okay. Hey, my name's Aux, or Auchenax for long. I started playing WoW in 2005 and like started PvPing somewhere around Wrath of the Lich King, but only really started like getting quote unquote good at the game in I'd say Shadowlands. That's where I got my first gladiator. Used to be a mage player, and then since the beta, the midnight beta, I swapped over to Devourer because I really like how the spec plays.
Yeah.
That's...
And I feel.
Sorry, go ahead.
I feel like there's I would like to also point out another small little tidbit of information that people should know about you, Orcs, which is that during Dragonflight, particularly, you were the highest rated full mastery Frost Mage on the ladder as well.
Oh yeah.
You can't forget that one, because that I think is key. And I think one of the big things we're going to talk to you today about is unorthodox builds, which I think is something that you're pretty keen on, at least anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of in my niche. Yeah. Ever since BFA, I'd say I started doing like unorthodox things, like as you mentioned, full mastery Frost Mage. Just let my icicles let it rip. And then in Shadowlands, I played Kyrian instead of Night Fae, just for big one shots. And I kind of like had the same mentality all through Dragonflight and the War Within with full mastery mage. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Jake, I think linked one of you made a PvP video during Shadowlands, right?
Yeah, my Shadow Priest teammates made videos.
Yeah. So I watched it, and I didn't play much of Shadowlands, but obviously everyone was playing Night Fae, and the Kyrian, the triple Kyrian looked really fun. Like it was like insane damage. Obviously Night Fae was really strong for mage because of the shifting power, but like man, the damage you had as Kyrian was insane.
Yeah, like the Radiant Spark with the Ire of the Ascended. I forgot what it was called. Like the Conduit, yeah. It made sure that my fourth spell cast after Radiant Spark was boosted by 105% damage. So basically, every meteor did like 80% of someone's HP. It's kind of ridiculous.
Wow.
No, insane.
That's insane. So I love that, because there's a lot of people that are discounting it, right? There's a lot of people that just they go to whatever's on a class Discord or their favorite streamer, and they just copy and paste what they're doing. So that's really awesome that you're finding different things. I'm just kind of curious for the Devourer, like, so what made you decide to go from a full DPS glass cannon caster to now a mid-range caster leather wearer?
I mean, if I'm gonna be honest, the thing that put me off Mage was the Frost rework. But yeah, so in beta I played the Frost rework and I just didn't really like it. In my opinion, it's literally just old Unholy DK with a new jacket on. So I started like making every class, just trying out whatever I liked. And then at first, when I started playing Devourer, I was like, how the hell do you play this spec? Like, I couldn't figure it out. And then I started
Mhm.
talking to some people in the beta, and they were telling me what they were doing. And then I kind of just went from there and then sat at a training dummy for like 3 hours straight, just testing combos until it kind of clicked, I guess.
All right. I mean, that's actually pretty fast. 3 hours. Think I think that does kind of speak to what the pruning has done as well, because there's less buttons, so it's less. Would you say it's less complex?
I'd say you can make it as complex as you want it to be because obviously the meta build at the moment with Annihilator has less buttons because they played, or at least before this patch, they played spontaneous Immolation,
Mm-hmm.
so they had one less button. And then the like what you want to do with building souls and then spending them is kind of straightforward. You basically only have two buttons that you're spamming. But then the build that I play with Void Scarred, it's a little bit more like you have to anticipate when you're going in, and you cannot just sit at range casting all the time. You kind of have to play it like you would old sub rogue, I guess.
Okay, that's interesting. And I've played Demon Hunter before, but I've never played, or I didn't even dabble on the Devourer. But how does this compare to, let's say, like Havoc? Because Havoc, I find you're mashing buttons, you're flipping, you're zooming in, you're retreating back, you're running around a bunch. Um, I didn't really it didn't really seem like there's that much movement, or not as much movement with Devourer.
Um, well, obviously, like Demon Hunter, I've altered it in threes with Jake in I think the War Within we did it, Jake.
Yeah,
Um,
Wolven. Yeah.
So basically, what you were doing as Havoc is you're just in all the time, just mashing buttons, keeping the MS effect on, and then
Mm-hmm.
you're basically always doing damage, right? As Devourer, you don't really have that because you want to build up your meta before you can actually start doing damage, and your damage outside of your Void Metamorphosis window is kind of low. So it's the difference in there is that as Havoc, you kind of want to stay in and do
Mm-hmm.
as much damage as you can, being a disruptive machine. And as Devourer, you have to like dip in and out.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the cool thing about Devour is you have two very unique play styles. You have one that plays more like a caster, and that's the Annihilator build, who uses Collapsing Star. That's kind of the iconic ability for that build. And then you have Void Scarred, which kind of plays sort of like a melee. I wouldn't call it a melee DPS, but you have Demon Surge as your main sort of hero talent ability. And what that does is every time you enter Metamorphosis, you gain like a buff to a few different abilities. And you get it basically like 5 abilities light up on your action bar and become empowered. And a lot of those are melee. And so like you kind of have like in this single spec, you have two distinct play styles with kind of like a more caster focused one-shotty build and a more melee focused build. But also what's I think really cool about Devour is the way you approach Metamorphosis kind of changes depending on your build. So I mean you could correct me if I'm wrong, but as the caster build, you kind of want to stay in your meta for as long as possible. Like your meta is when you do big damage. But as Void Scarred, you kind of want to get in a meta, empower your abilities, use all your empower abilities, and get out as quickly as you can, and just do that again. Right? It's like one of the tempo of both of these hero specs is like dramatically different, and they have like dramatically different playstyles, which is I think pretty cool. Like, do you agree on that? Is my analysis like correct?
Yeah, it's entirely correct. Like with Annihilator, as you said, they play let me just get my talents out. They play the emptiness talents, which means they have to build up 50 souls, and then every soul they consume during their void metamorphosis gives them haste, right? Which will allow them to just keep on spamming consume or devour, as it's called in Void Metamorphosis and build up souls that way, so they can keep on spamming Collapsing Star until they eventually run out of Fury and Void Metamorphosis runs out. That's correct. While Void Scarred, as you said, they play the Soul Glutton, which means they need only 35 souls to get in meta, and they just want to burst, get back out of meta, start building up again.
Yeah, and to everyone listening, like Metamorphosis as a Devourer Demon Hunter works significantly different than Havoc. So Havoc's meta is a cooldown. I believe it's 2 minutes in PvP with talents.
It's 2 minutes.
While Devour, you don't technically have a cooldown on meta, but you need to spend souls. So souls are this thing, like this sort of like passive resource you generate over time. And again, depending on your build, the amount of souls you need to enter meta will vary quite a bit. Like it can be anywhere from like 30 to 100. I think there's a build where you can require 100 souls for entering meta, which is crazy. But then it's like when you're in meta, it's kind of like the Shadow Priest old Void form, where it's like you have a resource bar that sort of depletes slowly, and it's like you're on a timer, and you can extend that resource bar. You can like pause it, or you can just kind of let it drain, depending on what you do. And so you have like this one spec, which is a caster. It kind of wants to sit in that meta for as long as possible and just spam out damage and get those big collapsing stars. And then the melee version, again, wants to kind of drain that bar pretty quickly, do all its big damage, get out, and then just do it again. Which is, I mean, there's no other spec like this in PvP where you have, I think, the option to play so like many different playstyles simultaneously, which is pretty cool. I'm just curious, like from a mage background, I would expect you to want to play the collapsing star focus, caster build. What attracted you most to Void Scarred?
The burstiness, honestly, like just the quick in and out playstyle. The fact that you can have like 6 vengeful retreats in a row, it's kind of insane as well. Like the mobility. I mean, it's just overall more fun to me.
I like
Yeah.
it.
No, for sure.
So I think you kind of talked a little bit about some of the talents in that. I don't know, Big. I think you know better than I do. You seem to be, you've studied this class already. Do you want to grill Alex here and pick his brain?
Yeah, so I'm guessing a lot of people might ask because there's obviously collapsing star is this crazy ability in PvP. Hits really hard, okay, and it's the kind of signature ability of Annihilator. So why, as Void Scarred, would you not want to be playing collapsing star?
Kind of because it doesn't really mesh well with Void Scards. As you already mentioned before, Void Scards wants to abuse their empowered abilities and get back out of the Void Metamorphosis. And they also have these Void Surges, which happen the first time you use one of your empowered abilities, which is Void Blades and Hungering Slash. So if you want to play Collapsing Star, you have to play the Apex talents, and the Apex talents they kind of make sure that you get enough collapsing stars off, because if you play 4 of them, the Apex talents, you can get one for free, right? When you meta first. But the thing is, you don't want to stay in meta too long. Basically, that's the entire reason why you don't want to play collapsing star.
And so with Void Scarred, what are you picking instead of Collapsing Star? I know you mentioned that you don't pick the Apex talents as Void Scarred. So where are those talents going?
I mean, there's 2 builds right now. The one that most people play is the one that does use Apex talents, but only 3 out of 4. And they don't pick Collapsing Star. And they only pick 3 out of 4 Apex talents because it gives you 6% increased cosmic damage. But the build that I mostly play, it does pick Collapsing Star, but it does never cast it. It's only there for the Rolling Torment talent. which basically makes sure that after your Void Metamorphosis ends, you will have like all of these unused souls. So you start off out of meta with a full Fury bar and like 20% damage increase.
And then, are you playing? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but as Voidsguard, you're playing the Hunt, right? Because
Yeah,
it turns into Predator's Wake, and that's like another thing that can proc your Void Surge. And I'm assuming, do you not play the Hunt if you're playing Annihilator?
yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So, kind of to bring everything together, Voidsguard, which is the melee build, you press meta, and a few of your abilities get sort of power ups. And when you press those abilities, you get an extra bit of damage called Void Surge, but you can only get it once per ability.
Yeah,
And so,
correct.
yeah, so typically, if you want to know when like a melee Void Scarred Devourer Demon Hunter is about to pop off, you kind of look for the Hunt. Like that's kind of, or Predator's Wake. It turns into Predator's Wake because it becomes empowered. And that kind of is like you're all in, right? Like if you want to truly one-shot someone, you're gonna be pressing meta into Predator's Wake and then boom, 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 like comboing them with a bunch of attacks, right?
Yeah, correct.
But as the other spec, it's like you go into meta and you try to get that big collapsing star. Like the caster version is like I think it's a bit easier to understand like where the damage is coming from because it's just like one giant mega one shot ability, right?
Yeah. So the scariest button obviously is Collapsing Star, but they also have this talent called Eradicate. Basically, after they fully channeled a Void Ray, their Reap becomes Eradicate, and it does like a big AoE damage as well, and that can also really hurt. So the main combo that they usually do is they channel a Void Ray, then they Collapsing Star into Eradicate into Consume. So that's kind of their one-shot-ish combo.
And then as far as the Demon Hunter talents are concerned, does anything change depending on your build there, or like for your class tree, is it all pretty much the same?
The class tree is actually just pretty much the same. It's like between Havoc and Devourer or even Annihilator and Voidsguard, you don't really swap out much.
And then one last thing, I know with the recent patch, that in my opinion, the biggest change was the change to soul immolation. So
Oh yeah.
previously, so this is like demon hunters have immolation, which is like they press it that does AoE around them. And previously it did damage to the demon hunter, but now it actually heals the demon hunter for 24% of their HP. I believe depending on your build, you can have 2 charges of this with a 30-second cooldown. So basically every 30 seconds you can heal yourself for 24%, which is I think pretty crazy. I know at the beginning of the expansion that there were some concerns about Devourer Demon Hunter survivability. I don't know if you've played today, but do you feel like that the buff to soul immolation where it now heals you is like a big deal? To me, that seems like a big deal that it no
It
longer
is.
damages you, it
It
actually heals
really
you.
is. I only played one lobby today, and I 6-0'd it at 2050 MMR only, but whatever. And I did actually notice the healing, like it was massive. It saved my ass a couple times.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, I was. It just seemed
Oh,
like this whole time I was like, I don't know if Dev DH is good because it kind of just dies. But like having a 24% heal every 30 seconds seems like a big deal. Like it's like, damn, that's pretty nice, and it does damage too. Like that's a good ability.
yeah, it's like an all-in-one button as well because it also generates fury and souls for you. So it's a heal, it's a resource generator, it's a damage button. Depending on the talents that you pick in your demon hunter tree, there's this talent infernal armor. Basically, it gives you 20% armor increase every time you have soul immolation up. You can use that as like a semi sort of wall into like hunters or warriors. And also, I don't know if you know, but the Void Scar tree also has the hunt reset one of your immolation charges.
Oh, that's
That's
handy.
that's kind of nutty, actually. Is it like an instant heal, or is it heal over time? Or
It's still over time.
okay, so you could, in theory, and I'm brainstorming this because we queued into RMP the other day, and it was it tilted me into oblivion. But but if you were to pre-immolation aura a kidney or the go, as it were, that would technically be healing you as they're blasting through you.
Yeah, true. So that's what I was trying to do before the changes already, because of the fact that into like rogues, I pretty much always try to play infernal armor.
Hmm.
Um, but right now it's even better because it's also healing me on top of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. Okay, no, that answers my question. Big, did you have any other main talent questions that you wanted to ask?
I don't think so. No, not at this time. No.
Bro, then should we look at PvP talents then, Orcs? We talk about this often because obviously there are choices that we can be made. I think there are a couple of PvP talents that you would say are non-negotiable, or in general, if you're a PvPer, you know that there are some non-negotiable PvP talents that you have to take every single
Yeah,
time. Do you
for
want
sure,
to
for sure.
walk me through some of those ones?
Yeah. So I'll talk about Annihilator first, since that is the most popular build. Annihilator is kind of like they're kind of hard locked into two PvP talents already, which everyone wants to be baseline because it's insane. If you try to play them without, if you try to play the class without those talents, it's like it's a death sentence really. So the first one is Inevitable End, which makes your collapsing star no longer interruptible and reduces its cast time by 25%. So it's massive. Um, and it's non-negotiable, as you said. If you play without this talent, like good luck getting any collapsing stars off. And the second one is Beckon. So what Beckon does is after every reap, your next consume cast is instant cast. Which makes for your soul generation to be incredibly um, easy because you just reap, consume, reap, consume, reap, consume. You know what I mean.
Mm, endlessly. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. And what about for Void Scarred? What would you be picking instead of those?
Well, Beckon is one that you also need to play as Void Guard because if you have to hardcast consumes, I mean, it's just it makes your entire build much slower. It gives you the danger of being kicked. So Beckon is one that you have to play, and then the other ones, as I mentioned before earlier, as Void Guard, every Void Blade and the Hunt gives you Hungering Slash, and if you Hungering Slash, it resets the cooldown of Vengeful Retreats, or like gives you an extra charge of it. So if you play Glimpse, you can basically, uh, if you slash, you can Vengeful Retreat, and then Hunt slash Vengeful Retreats, Vengeful Retreat. So if you're playing Glimpse, your glimpse of time is really high. So Glimpse is one of those talents as Void cards that I would never ever ever swap out.
Yeah, because obviously you have the opportunity to basically dodge, like negate damage, negate CC 4 times if you wanted
Yeah,
to.
indeed.
In a space period of your burst, which is kind of huge if you think about it. If you've got a mage trying to cast poly on you or cyclone on you from a druid, you're able to just completely and totally negate that. So that's pretty good. So Beckon and then Inevitable End for Annihilator, Beckon and Glimpse, in your opinion, for Void Scarred. Now,
Yeah.
do you want to quickly, I know you probably have some choices that you would go for your third option there, but do you want to just quickly run through some of the remaining ones, like Armor of Souls, Cleansed by Flame, Cover of Darkness, Detainment, Burst
Yeah.
Magic, Surrender to the Void, that stuff.
Yeah, so as Annihilator, a lot of people actually play Surrender to the Voids. I've talked to some people, like rank 1 Demon Hunter players, that into some lobbies where they're not afraid of dying, they will always play Surrender to the Voids because the 10% damage increase is really nice, but also their Fury just almost not draining, which means they can just keep spamming damage, spamming damage, spamming damage. Like they really like that play style, but I could never play it. Like honestly, needing 100 souls before you can pop off, it sounds way too scary for me. But I've seen people have a lot of success with that build. Um, and the other ones are kind of matchup dependent, really. Like Detainment, for example, is something that you pick when you basically don't need anything else because it makes for Imprison to have 1 second extra duration, and it kind of acts like a cyclone. You
Mhm.
cannot heal, you cannot damage them. They're just fully immune, but also CC'd. Then the big one that we received in a hotfix patch is Reverse Magic, obviously. At launch, Devourer Demon Hunter didn't have Reverse Magic. So them adding that for the Devour spec was a big deal into mages, hunters, and like anything that you have a dispellable magic CC effect. So I would pick reverse magic into like hunters, mages, probably even evokers because you can reverse magic to sleepwalk.
Oh wow, that's handy.
And sorry,
I said that's handy.
yeah, very much. And then the other one that I often play is Armor of Souls. I pick this into a comp that has double physical damage dealers. So, for example, say Outlaw Rogue and Hunter or Fury or Arms Warriors, I would always go for Armor of Souls.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we haven't. I don't know if you mentioned Cover of Darkness at all, but obviously I think that's just in its slightly bigger increase of darkness in general in terms of size.
Yeah, I don't feel like Cover of Darkness is played much because the other ones just do so much more for you.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. There are some throwaway PvP talents, I think, from all specs in general.
And Cleanse by Flame is another one because it only dispels one magic effect, so it's a very much RNG talent. For example, a lot of mages used to say that you would need Cleanse by Flame into them, but say you're fighting a fire mage, you have a 50-50% chance of dispelling a root on you, or you dispel ignites, which is like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, okay. It kind of sucks. But no, I get that. I get that. Bro, so that is the PvP talents. I suppose we've sort of already touched on the hero talents, but Garrison, is there anything you wanted to ask about the two of them between there, or
No, I think that was pretty well covered. I do like the fact that on the PvP talent side, there's options because a lot of specs they always have like it's these three set and forget, maybe shift one, but it sounds like there's quite a number of options there, which is really cool. I think as far as Apex talent, so Apex talents, you always have up those 4 extra points. How deep into midnight do you actually go? Do you go 4 or 4 or?
As Annihilator, you would always go 4 and 4 because the rank 3, so the 4 talent points,
Mhm.
makes you able to just instantly collapsing star as soon as you press Void Metamorphosis. While otherwise you would be building up souls again. Like you need 30 souls to cast collapsing star. So without the 4 talents, you press meta and then you have to build up again before you can collapsing star. And with 4 out of 4, you can just press meta, collapsing star, and then start building. But as void scards, the most popular build that I see is just people playing 3 out of 4 Apex talents, simply because the rank 2 talents give you 3% cosmic damage. So it's 6% cosmic damage if you have 3 points into the Apex talents. But I also play a build where I like if I want even shorter durations of downtime between my Void Metamorphosis, I play 0 Apex talents.
Really?
Yeah. So
And
I
so
lose out like a little bit of damage
Mhm.
during my bursts, but I get back into Void Metamorphosis like 5 to 10 seconds faster.
That's crazy. So you take those extra 4 points and put them into your Devourer spec?
Yeah, I put them into Rolling Torments,
Mm-hmm.
which is when Void Metamorphosis ends, um, every unused soul you harvested. So
Yeah.
basically, like every reap
Yeah.
just gets your souls going,
Mm-hmm.
right? Uh, every unused soul you harvested gives you fury and increases your damage.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to pick Collapsing Star as a talent for it to
Yeah.
work,
That's the
but
one you
you
had
just
mentioned before, right?
yeah,
Sorry.
I mentioned
Yeah.
that before.
Okay. No, sorry to interrupt you. I'm seeing how this all gets tied in together, so I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
You're starting to
Um,
see like the kind of notes on the wall, and it's like
yeah.
the X-Files kind of things are all coming
Dude,
together. Like, oh, I see the strategy now.
dude, I'm the meme of the guy with the board with all the yarn and the pictures and smoking the cigarette and going,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a conspiracy
not
theory, but now I'm understanding Devour.
not Charlie from It's Always Sunny.
I
Me.
don't, yeah, I don't know. Um,
Okay.
I guess if you don't mind, the tier set then, like this is some. So tier sets, everybody seems, or I'm sure a lot of people know, but they're nerfed by 50%.
Yeah,
So is the tier set even worth it for Devour?
honestly, worth it. I don't really feel like it's worth it. For me, I play 2 sets simply because the the stats on the helmet and the legs are pretty good. It's haste and mastery for the helmets, which
Okay.
are like the 2 best stats that you can have. And then the legs is just haste versatility. So this because the stats are decent, I play 2 set. But I would never play 4 set because I'm a Void Scar player, so I don't use Collapsing Star.
Yep.
Um, and then the items give you crits, and crit is the worst stat. So yeah, that's
Interesting.
the sole reason why I would not play Forza as Void Guards. I've seen people play it as Annihilator, but again, like I don't feel like the trade-off of having good stats is worth it, since the tier set bonuses are halved. So I didn't mention yet what the tier set bonuses are. So the
Sorry.
2 set
Yeah.
one is just a damage bonus to Void Ray, which is
Mm-hmm.
like your main soul generator ability. Um, and it also does quite a lot of damage, so it's really
It's
nice
your
to
I
have the
beam,
2 set.
right?
Yeah, it's basically I beam. Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, that's what they called it.
yeah, it's Void Ray.
Okay.
And then the 4 set bonus gives you a damage increase on Collapsing Star, and also makes your Collapsing Star give you extra fury.
That's handy.
So yeah, as a Void Scar player, you never press Collapsing Star, so yeah,
Of
you
course.
just don't need it. And as
So
an
for,
Annihilator player,
I was
it's
just gonna ask.
basically up to preference. Yeah, like some people play it because I mean, extra damage is still extra damage.
Mhm.
But in my honest opinion, losing all of that versatility and mastery is not worth it for the damage bonus.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, what embellishments are you playing as Devourer?
Um, I am using double. What's it called? Let me see. I am using double devouring banding because it just gives me more mastery, and mastery is like the biggest stat for your burst. But I've seen a lot of people also play the Arcano Weave Insights, which just gives you main stat, which is also
Yeah.
very good, obviously.
I know some people in the AWC were actually playing the necklace that gives you an
Oh
absorb
yeah.
shield. Do you think are you planning to craft that at all? To see, I mean, I'm planning to craft that because it seems pretty good, to be
Yeah,
honest.
it is very good.
Yeah. Uh,
Since I don't really PvE at all, so I would have to play a significant amount of games at 2.1 or higher in order to have it
yeah.
crafted at max item level, right? Which is it. I mean, I'm already at that CR, so it's not a problem. But I genuinely just hope it gets nerfed before it comes to that point.
Yeah. I mean, I think on paper that I think anyone who wants haste, that's gonna be like their best probably
Yeah, for
crafted
sure.
piece. Speaking of stats, it seems like you like haste and mastery, or you like mastery rather.
Yeah,
Is
mastery
there
is good for me.
any different stat priority between the two hero specs?
Yeah, actually there are, because as a Void Scarred, you don't really need haste. All you really need is mastery, because like it's all about the burst, right?
Mhm.
But I
It's all
still like,
you're doing melee attacks, so it's like you
yeah,
don't like you don't need a faster collapsing star cast. You just want to hit
no,
really hard,
indeed.
right?
Yeah, and you also have no like spammable CC, like mages want haste for the polycast as well, right? You don't have any of that. So you can just sack all your haste for more mastery if you really want to as Void Scards, which are some people are doing that actually. But I like to have a little bit of haste, like around 10% is enough. Just because without it, I feel like my globals are a little bit too clunky.
Yeah.
But that's again, that's just a preference thing.
Yeah, haste,
But
haste. I think for like any sort of caster spec, or I guess any spec in general, like haste is just kind of like a feel good stat, where it makes your rotation feel a bit smoother, and it feels bad to play with zero haste, right? It's like everything
yeah,
kind of feels a little bit slower. I personally I've been playing Boomkin only this expansion, but at the beginning of the season I was trying to itemize for Resto, and then I decided no, I'm just only gonna play Boomkin. So my gear is a little bit weird right now. Like I have a lot of mastery as a boomy, which you typically don't have. You typically want to just stack haste. But I like having like a balance of stats. Like if you have, I think as any caster, like a decent amount of haste, you don't need too much. But if you have a lot of mastery, oh my gosh, like you can do so much damage. And I know for Devourer, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's pretty much the same mastery as Havoc, where it's like you do more void damage, which is
yeah,
basically
clustering
every
down.
single
Yeah.
spell. Yeah. So it's like mastery is just like a good flat damage increase, while haste is like this good like feel good stat. And I mean, if you, I know you said earlier that you you played mastery Frost Mage in Shadowlands,
Yeah.
like yeah, mastery is always really fun to stack as a caster because you just do so much damage. It's if you can land the cast, you do so much damage. But if you're playing like a melee caster like you are, it's like, yeah, might as well just stack a bunch of mastery, right? Because it's like, okay, I'm gonna get all my hits off anyway. They're gonna hit really hard, and that's fun, right?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if you've watched the AWC, the NA AWC last week.
Mhm.
You saw MVQ play the Void Scarred builds in there, and I don't remember who their opponents were, but the first game they basically just one shot the enemy team, like double killed them, right?
Yep.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I remember he was also just playing full mastery, like no haste whatsoever. Um, and that's kind of like indeed the idea. You don't really need haste because you will get off your damage in the window that you want it to go off anyway. The
Yeah.
extra haste that I'm playing, like the 10%, is literally just because otherwise I feel like my buttons are too clunky.
Yeah.
And Aside from stats, Demon Hunter is a bit weird, where you can only play like 3 races. You can play any elf essentially, night elf,
Yeah.
blood elf, void elf. Is there any one in particular that you prefer? I mean, I'm assuming it's night elf, but
Yeah.
what are you playing?
So obviously, I played Night Elf Demon Hunter before midnight because, I mean, why would you play anything else? Night Elf, like Shadow Melt, is just so OP. But then when Midnight pre-patch launched, you were able to play the Void Elf Demon Hunter, right? So I played one, I made one, and I leveled it up. But like a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I think, Jake, I told you
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
I just race changed it to Nelf because I literally just never used the Void Elf racial. Also because I play Void Scards mostly, so the no spell pushback thing that they have, the Void Elves, I mean it's useless for me. And then the Spatial Rifts it's a nice mobility button for like immobile casters, right? But as a Demon Hunter with shifts and with vengeful retreats and then your mastery also buffing your movement speeds, you kind of just never needed it. So I would just play Night Elf all day because it's just simply the best.
Simply the best.
Yeah.
I think is the is the sort of term for night elves across the board. I think a majority of classes, sadly, will always pick night elf. I think this kind of segues nicely onto strategies, and I think, or like I guess comps, as it were, like what comps are we playing, and then what sort of things work. I feel like it's a very new spec that has 2 different ways of playing it. You're not the biggest fan of twos, but if you were to play in twos, what healer would you want?
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of twos. I don't think I've played any twos in in Midnight yet.
And that is a lie, though. That you're lying directly to our viewers because you played twos with me, double DPS,
Oh
when I
yeah.
needed gear. So,
I mean,
yeah,
yeah. But does
uh,
does that really count like double DPS? We
uh,
simply just zucked someone in the opener and hoped that we didn't die.
yeah, true. I mean, I don't know. It sounds like
But
you're playing twos to me.
yeah,
So, if you
but
weren't doing Zug twos with me, what healer would you use if to be viable of some kind?
like I played twos in the pre-patch. I played um Void Scarred, Devourer Demon Hunter, and Void Weaver Disc. I played it with a friend of ours, with Neth, to gear up my Void Elf Demon Hunter alt. And it was actually really nice because Void Weaver does so much damage. The lack of a Mortal Strike effect is something that we didn't really feel because of the fact that we were just constantly pumping. So I feel like that would still work
Yeah,
in twos.
something that kind of overwhelms with
Yeah,
extra damage, and obviously in twos, dampening does start quicker, and
yeah, and as well, like the meta in twos has been kind of the same for like a lot of expansions right now already, where you need one like very good melee with an MS effect or a hunter, and then the best healer, right? So since Devourer Demon Hunter doesn't have an MS effect, it kind of just relies on doing the most unhealable damage as you can.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense. And then threes, obviously we've tried various different comps,
Yeah.
mostly to deal with my sort of not feeling great on things. We've tried a few different things. What was the threes comp that MVQ played for NA? Because I didn't catch that.
It was Unholy DK, Devourer, and then the healer was Mistweaver, obviously.
Of course, yeah. Okay, so we have tried that comp. That is a comp we've worked. What sort of comps do you think would be viable for the Annihilator build and for Void Scarred?
Yeah, honestly, since we haven't really seen that much of Devourer in the AWC and stuff like that. It's kind of hard to say what would be the best, but if I were to make an assumption, I would think the Annihilator build would pop off with like a rogue, something that locks your targets down so you can cast your collapsing stars uninterrupted, or with another caster that has like a more priority kill target, like a Destrolock, for example, because that would allow you to free cast more. And a free casting Annihilator Devourer Demon Hunter is just scary as hell.
Mm.
As for Void Cards, it plays more in goes, like you would RMP, right? So again, a rogue would be nice. And then what we played, the Windwalker Devourer Demon Hunter, because like it meshes up really well with just like setup bursts.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, I mean, what you're looking for really is, as you say, like setup, stuns, big damage, the ability to get stuff off, and then also with a healer that can see the enemy healer, and then you've got this huge burst window. So that makes sense. I think there is something to be said about MS effects as well.
Yeah.
That it's a shame that Devourer doesn't have one because obviously Havoc does. So
Yeah, exactly.
that is a bit unfortunate. And then RBGs, Battleground Blitz, that kind of thing. Obviously, we can talk about Solo Shuffle as well, but just touching on those real quickly, how does it feel in the sort of Battleground environment?
As a Devourer Demon Hunter in Battlegrounds, you're actually really versatile because you can just swap your spec depending on the map. So, for example, let's say you're having a capture the flag map like Warsong Gulch or Twin Peaks. Playing Void Cards is really good because you only have like you only need 35 souls to do your burst, and then your burst is like pretty much instant, hits really hard. So it's really good to be on offense as a Void Scarred Demon Hunter, and you can just one shot the flag carriers. But then on maps where you have like these really big opening team fights, and then afterwards you just sit around, like the Battle for Nails, for example, where everyone just like comes together at the waterworks and has this big team fight. That's where Annihilator really pops off because collapsing stars AOE, eradicate is AOE, so you're kind of like melting the entire team if you're able to free cast. And that's what I also like about Devour. I haven't really like pushed a lot of Blitz yet, but the fact that you can just like change your playstyle and change your build depending on what map you're playing is just something that other specs don't have.
Yeah, I agree. That's definitely some sort of versatility in that. So if you are looking to push on your Devourer, Battleground Blitz might be the option there. And then Shuffle, you've been in the top 10 for Devourer. I think you were in the top. You were in like the top 5 in the first week or so.
Yeah.
How does that feel? And especially today when you've queued up on the first day of the patch, how does it feel in Shuffle?
I mean, I kind of like it. I've liked it before this patch as well, even though like you were basically made of paper as a Devourer Demon Hunter. It's just the fact that since it's really like an unorganized play in solo shuffle, you can catch a lot of people off guard with just how much bursts you're able to do, and that's kind of where the spec shines for me. The higher up in rating you go, and the more aware people become. And I've noticed that that's the thing where I struggled the most with when I was in the, or I still am, but when I'm in high rated lobbies, because I mean, it's just harder to get good goes off into people that are hard kiting you or are CCing your void metamorphosis and stuff. But I mean, yeah, it's just what good players do, right? So kind of have to take it.
Yeah, exactly. And so with that in mind, what is your like win condition?
As a void cards, it's literally just try to get as much bursts off in a game. Since in solo shuffle, dampening ramps up really fast. Games generally don't last that long, and since you only need 35 souls, basically within a minute, if I'm not being spam CC'd, I can get off 2 Void Metamorphosis. So what my win condition is just get a lot of cooldowns in my first burst and try to kill in the second. I try to keep my stun and my imprison for my goes, and then kind of just whittle people down that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then, last but not least, the most important bit of information: how do I kill you?
How do you kill me?
Yes.
The same way people have been killing demon hunters since for as long as I can remember. None of their cooldowns are usable while stunned. So when a Devourer Demon Hunter does not have Trinket, you just kind of kill them in a stun go. Or before this patch, they didn't have any self healing either, and then Blur, the main defensive cooldown for Demon Hunters, Blur for Havoc has been 35% damage reduced, right? For Devourer Demon Hunter, it's only 25%. So that's why everyone kept saying that Devour like it kind of falls over, right? Because their wall is simply weaker. So they're generally much easier to kill than their Havoc counterparts. But generally in stuns, Demon Hunters die, and it's no different for Devour.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
I heard a little while ago the Void Ray. So I-beam can't be kicked, right?
Yeah,
But
true.
as far as I understand, Void Ray can be kicked.
No, Void Ray cannot be kicked either.
Oh
It's
no!
the Consume cast can be kicked.
Oh, for some reason I thought somebody say that Void Ray there was a bug where it could get kicked. So okay, good to
No,
know.
it was an undocumented change
Mm-hmm.
before the hotfix changes from like I think it's 2 weeks ago already, or maybe even 3, I don't know. But
Okay.
throughout the entire beta, pre-patch, and then the first week of launch, um, Devour, which is what Consume turns into during your metamorphosis,
Yeah.
could not be kicked. And then after a random like hotfix patch tuning changes, suddenly Devour was kickable, and it still is. So, and there has really not been any word of it from the devs. So people don't really know if it's a change that they meant to do or if it's a bug. But I
Okay.
generally just accepted it as something that they wanted to do because it's been 2 or 3 weeks already. So
Yeah.
And just to plug video that's dropping tomorrow. So collapsing star technically cannot be interrupted either if
no.
you're playing a PvP talent, but it's really weird because if anything like disrupts the collapsing star cast, like it will go on cooldown for 5 seconds. Like you
Yeah.
can line it, you can knock it, you can do whatever, as long as it just doesn't go off in time, it gets a cooldown. And this is like some weird workaround to a problem that they were having on beta, where demon hunters were like using collapsing star, like they were like canceling their own collapsing star cast to stay in meta.
Yeah.
But like now, yeah, you can kind of technically interrupt collapsing star, even though it can't be kicked. As long as you just use anything else, it will be interrupted in like a secret way. It's really, really weird.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. That's correct.
Okay.
I think if I remember correctly, people told me that they did that in order to, as you said, because when you cast Collapsing Star, it's similar to when you cast Void Ray. Um, you have this talent. It's a passive talent that everyone just gets. It's called Grim Focus. While in Void Metamorphosis, leaving combat or being crowd controlled will reduce the rate at which you drain Fury. And then there's a talent that basically does the same thing when you cast Collapsing Star or Void Blades as well. So your Fury drain just kind of stops. So what people would do was just start casting Collapsing Star, as a way to stop their fury from draining. And I think that's where the 5-second cooldown thing came into play.
Yeah. It seemed like it was a weird fix to like a weird like interaction. It's the whole thing is just like doesn't make any sense, to be honest. Jarisar, were you gonna say something?
No, I think that was about it, really. I think the only thing I was going to say was, again, I did watch the MVQ. It was when they played against Amamam on stream, and it was really
Yeah.
like, yeah, that first match, he just blew them up. It was tremendous to watch. But then after that, every other match or every match he played, you could see like as soon as he had into Metamorphosis, he was CC'd. As soon as it looked like he was about to pop off, he was in CC'd, or they would just like run around and line him. So I guess in that way, that really seems to be the way to beat the Devourer Demon Hunter is CC them, keep them from being able to get to that. Once they pop off or they're about to pop off, make sure that they can't, and then you basically lose your go, right? Which
Yeah, exactly.
that must feel a little frustrating.
Oh, believe me, it is. Especially right now, since Frost Mage is so heavily played in the meta. Because I mentioned this just a couple of minutes ago about when you're CC'd that your Fury drain gets reduced. It doesn't stop, but it's reduced.
Mm-hmm.
But there is an interaction right now. I don't know if it's an oversight or if it's just meant like that, but it does not count roots as CC. But your main abilities, the empowered ones like the Hunt or Predator's Wake and Void Blades, the you cannot use them when you're rooted.
Of course
So
not.
your Fury just drains and you're sitting in a full root.
So
Yes.
it's
the
paper rock
roots-
mage. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, kind of.
That sucks.
Yeah, I think mages are OP. But if you want to convince people that they're not, please send all funds to at
To me.
BigRanIRL.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll
On
do,
Twitter.
man.
All right.
Brill.
Well, I think thank you so much, Ox. That was very educational. I know coming into this blind, I didn't really do any studying. I hadn't played this spec at all, so this was really entertaining. And I love the fact that it was the non-meta build, the one that people aren't really playing a lot, which is great to see. I'm gonna close this out though. Usually we do some. I'm gonna skip the one thing we changed because we're running out of time. But for shout outs, is there anybody you want to shout out?
I kind of just want to do like one special shout out, which is Trisap Jake, because we've been playing together for so long, and for giving me the opportunity to be here and talk about the game we all love, World of Warcraft, and then the spec, the newly found spec that I kind of replaced my old main with. And then just all of our friends and everyone that's listening or watching. Yeah, that's about it.
It's awesome. It sounds.
Take it.
I'm sure he deserves a bit of a shout out for something.
Every now and then, once
Every now
upon a
and
time.
Yeah,
Big.
sometimes when you're not raging. Huh?
Yeah, when I'm not waiting, yeah.
How about you, Big? Who do you want to shout out?
I want to give a shout out to our AWC team, Jarisar, Mortai, and Gregors. We had a fun little time on the TR last week, and it was very fun. There's no tournament there's no AWC this week, and there's going to be one next week. But I think we could make a deep bracket run, and that's going to be very fun. So shout out to our AWC team.
Huge.
Yeah. I think. Yeah.
Shout out to Infernion as well. Yeah.
Pardon me, Jake. Is that who you're shouting out?
No, I'm not going to shout out Infernion. He already knows I shout him out every night in my dreams. No, for me, it's a big shout out to Jared. Jared is my friend who is currently upstairs above the room that I'm currently in, probably trying to sleep whilst I'm talking about Devourer Demon Hunter. So shout out to him for just accepting that I'm going to be talking loudly underneath them.
Indeed. That's a good friend. That's your friend from the island in the channel, eh?
Yes, the Channel Islands, man. The island boy, as some might
Island
say.
boy.
Island boy.
It's it's funny because being from Great Britain, I'm sure there's many different places that would consider somebody an island boy, and everyone.
I'm technically also an island boy, but my island doesn't really feel like an island. So
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, I'm gonna give a shout out to Cherry. If anybody doesn't know who Cherry is, she was one of the founders behind the Oasis Discord, and very involved in the community. She also does a bunch of things, but a long time ago, she created the RBG guide. It was a very comprehensive guide, and she then made a BG Blitz guide, and she just updated it. So I put it up on the socials. There's also a link in our resource channel here on the Technically PvP Discord. But if you happen to see her around or have her on your socials, I highly recommend you give her a quick shout out and go check it out. If you, I will say it's geared a little bit more to the beginner style, but there's a ton of great information in there, all the way to like some pretty detailed stuff. So you might even learn something new. But I highly recommend you go do that. And Ox,
Yep.
can we find you anywhere? Like, do you stream? Are you on socials? Or just like official forums? I don't know.
I do have a Twitter, which is, or like X, I don't know how you would how you like to call it now, which is just x.com/Auchenax. And then my Twitch, I don't really stream anymore, but I used to like turn on my stream just to capture my own games back in the day, so I could rewatch them. But it's the same. It's also just like twitch.tv/Auchenax.
All right. And just for people who are listening and can't see, how do you spell Auchenax?
AUCHEN AX.
All right. Sounds good. Well, hopefully some people go and find you and add you and check out your games. And in the meantime, I think, Big, can you tell our listeners where they can reach us?
Yes, I can. You can contact us directly on X at technically_PvP or on Blue Sky at technicallypvp.bluesky.social or by an email to technicallypvp@gmail.com. You can also join the discussions on our Discord.
And we are now hosted on Libsyn. So a link to that website will be in the show notes. Don't forget that the Bonus Roll website also has a podcast directory with us and many other great shows, and that's at www.bonusroll.gg. This directory also has a review system, so if you head on over there, make sure you tell everyone what you think of your favorite shows, including our own.
Indeed. And links where you can find us, and as well as our guest, is going to be in the show notes. I want to thank you all for listening, and we'll chat with you next time. Good night, everybody.